Hey everybody. I've got a bunch of emails asking me to talk about the TIG welder I bought, and I'm not endorsing it yet. I'm just telling you some facts about it. You know, like I've said in my other videos, I've done a lot of stick welding and quite a bit of MIG welding, but it was flux core MIG welding. It wasn't with the argon shield or the oxygen argon gas mix. I've done some of that, but most of my MIG welding was with a flux core um, rod or the wire. TIG welding I needed to use because I needed to be able to control the heat of the arc, or what I call a torch, or whatever people call a torch. Now, first of all, I'm a total novice at TIG welding. This isn't a TIG welding video like the bazillion there are on YouTube, but I've gotten a lot of people asking about my TIG welder, and I want to tell you a couple of things about it that I like a lot. So this was everything I bought was about $1,000. I mean, by the time I bought the TIG welder and got me a new helmet and got all the little accessories and everything I needed, I had about $1,000 in it, and that's buying some extra filler rod, some extra tungsten electrodes, and I'm trying to think of all the different things I needed to buy. But when you get it, you basically get everything you need to start except the helmet. Okay. And get you a decent helmet, like a $90 or $100 helmet. I mean, I know there's $200 or $300 helmets out there. Not helmets, but the welding mask or whatever you call it. As I said again, I'm very much a novice at TIG welding. And if you're one of my fans, you get why I'm doing this video. If you don't follow me or you don't know anything about what I do, this is a really probably silly video to you, so you can tune out. But if you're one of my followers or one of my fans that's watched me build all my airplanes, you know I'm building a real airplane, a full-scale plane I'm going to fly in, an ultralight. But the thing that I really like about this is it'll run off 110 or 220. Now, when I wired my basement, I wired it for 220 volts. So I do have this wire for 220. If you're at 110, you can only go up to a certain amount of amps. When I first got it, I plugged it into 110 and it worked fine. And I never got the amps high enough that I blew my breaker. But if you're going to do some thick stuff where you're getting up in 120, 130 amps, then you're probably going to need it to be on 220 volts. You got to buy yourself an argon tank, which was really intimidating and scary to me. I mean, right next to me, literally 4 miles from my house, is a Indiana Oxygen, and they have all your acetylene and all your different stuff. So I just walked over there, walked in, and said, "How do I buy an argon tank?" And you can buy the big, like 6-footers. I got the little 3-footer argon tank. I purchased the tank, which also comes with a first fill of argon. It cost me about $220 to buy the tank. To top off the argon is anywhere from, depending on the price of argon, from about $55 to $65 to top off the tank. I got a lot of practicing in and did everything you saw here so far in my other videos with my first tank of argon. I don't remember how many cubic feet is in this thing, and but I know when it comes with about 1900 psi. So I don't know what that is with cubic feet of argon. But you got to have the argon tank. I would really suggest that you get a flow meter that looks like this. It's got the little ball. You probably can't see it, but it's got a little ball that floats around in there. And everybody on the internet says you want between 10 and 20 cubic feet a minute of argon. And I set mine at about 10 because there's no air moving around in my shop here. I mean, it's dead still, the air. And I don't have my electrode stuck out, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't have my electrode stuck real far out, so I get plenty of argon to it because I try to save the argon. I don't want to just have a whole bunch of extra cubic feet per minute coming out of the torch that I don't need. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things that I really love about this. Now, this is the foot pedal. If you don't know much about TIG welding, there's a couple of different ways you can TIG weld. You can set it up at an amperage so that when you either press a button on your torch or you press a pedal, the high frequency will basically make it shoot like a lightning bolt out, and you start your arc and your welding. Okay. So what I really love is with this foot pedal, I've got my amps I can set on the foot pedal. Okay, now that might be the way every TIG welder is. I don't know, I'm a novice. But I set this on about 52 amps because the, I can't remember what it is. I think it's, you want to set 1 amp for every thousandth thickness. So if I've got 0.053, I set this for 53 amps, and it's been perfect. I am welding very thin walled chromoly tubing, and the thing I love about this is when I first start my weld, I'll just barely push this down a little bit, and my weld starts, and I can see the metal starting to get hot. As I start to push the throttle down, it gets hotter, hotter, hotter until I start to see it puddling the metal. Then I start adding filler rod and then take off doing my weld. So if it looks like I'm getting too much of my metal hot too quick, it looks like I'm gonna get a burn through, I can let off the throttle here. So the thing that I absolutely love, and it's taken me a while to get used to it because you gotta think about it. I'm holding my torch. I call it my torch. I don't know what you really call this thing, but I call it my torch. The reason I call it torch is this reminds me so much of gas welding, which I did a little bit of like 30 some years ago. Yes, I'm that old. But you got to think about TIG welding. You got your torch in your hand, you got your filler rod in your hand. I don't have any filler rod over here right now. That's me being unprepared again. And then you got your foot pedal. So it really takes a little bit of practice to just unconsciously be moving that foot pedal to keep your temperature right as you're adding the filler rod. As you know, you always want to be at about a 90 degree to each other as you're going around radiuses. This tubing is really hard to weld for me over here. If it's on my table where I can keep adjusting the piece of pipe, the tubing, then it's easier for me to follow radiuses. But when I'm welding here or overhead, it's really hard. So the Eastwood TIG 200, also you can also do stick welding with this, which I don't plan on doing. I've already got some stick weld. I own a stick welder, but my stick welder is not as powerful as this. This could do like your old, what was it, Miller, the red Miller stick welder we all had in shop class back in the days. I think it was Miller. No, Miller's blue. Who's red? Whatever the red, Hobart? You know, I didn't even remember what welder it was now. That was a long time ago. But you basically got your torch here. You got your foot pedal. I would really recommend you go on eBay and buy one of these things to hold your torch, because if not, it's going to be falling all over your table and shit. I use an auto darkening helmet, which I think is absolutely awesome because I can actually look through my helmet and see exactly what I'm getting ready to weld. I tell you, one of the things though that I really love about this is how much control you actually have. When you stick weld, once that arc starts, either you're doing your figure eight or you're doing something, but you got to keep going or you're just going to end up puddling up a huge amount of filler with stick welding, or you're going to get really hot and burn through. With MIG welding, it's the same thing. That wire is being fed at a certain speed, and you can adjust the speed, but once you start to weld, you need to keep moving. On this, you can sit there and get it hot, 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 starts to puddle, then you start to add it and you're moving across it. And if you see that you've got to make it wider, you can kind of start doing large, at least for me, I do kind of a large figure eight. This is so much control. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's like caulking, but you have so much control of this. I will also tell you another thing that I think is interesting about what I've been doing with TIG welding is if I've got a joint and it looks pretty sloppy, okay? I know it's a good joint, but it just looks horrible. What's neat about having the throttle control and everything on this pedal is I can kind of grind that down a little bit, and I can go back in and then do my little figure eights back across it to build that weld to build the weld wider, like do a second pass and make it look a lot prettier. So, and I try on this, I know I'm going to get some critics telling me I don't need to, but on a lot of this, I'm going to do 2 passes and make kind of wider welds to really make sure I'm getting my filler material out across both metals really good. There's a couple intimidating things about this airplane. Everything I've ever built in my life has basically a bolt. So imagine you got a piece of steel here and you got a bolt go through it. You got to shear that bolt off. You know the grade of the bolt you bought. You know the grade of the steel. There's no intimidation there. But on this airplane, on the top of the fuselage is two square tubings that have basically smaller tubings through it, which are the bolts for the wings, to hold the wings onto the center of the fuselage. And that welded on square tube is what holds the wing on the airplane. So those welds are holding your wing on the airplane. There's no bolt, there's no pinning, there's no redundancy, it's your weld. I trust my welds, but to do one little single pass of weld around there, and you know, it just makes me nervous. And I know there'll be some people saying that, you know, making a weld wider is not going to increase your strength a lot. Maybe in a perfect world that's right, but with all my testing, if you watch my other videos where I've tested welds that have 2 and 3 passes definitely are a boatload stronger than a single small little weld. And I'm also learning how to keep my temperatures down as I weld too, because some of my early welds I was getting everything really, really hot, and I think I actually made the tube brittle. That's the reason the tube broke before the welds. But I have not to date, knock on wood, in any of my testing had a weld fail. It's always been a steel failing. So, and that's a good thing. So I hope you, now look, there's some knobs and switches on here and none of them matter to me, because on the top right here, you've got a little cheat sheet that says the thickness you're welding, the material you're welding, and this is what you want to set this stuff on. So, you know, you've got your, what do you got here? I'm going to have to grab my glasses. So you've got your pre-flow. From what I understand is that's how many seconds the argon starts before you can actually start a weld. That way you got an argon bath. Then you got post-flow, how long it goes. Clearance effect, I have no idea what that is, but most of the time it's set on 0 except for a couple of, for aluminum. You got a stick or TIG weld, and you got AC or DC. And it tells you up here what you should have all these settings on. This is the most idiot-proof welder. A buddy of mine who's a big-time TIG welder has one of the big millers that has literally 50 switches and all these little dials. And I mean, it is a kick-ass $5,000 machine. This was about $800. And I don't know what all those other switches and dials are for. I'm sure, well, and keep in mind, I'm doing steel right now. I haven't started playing with aluminum yet. I don't have any need. Now for my model aviation hobby stuff, once this is done, I'll probably start doing some custom gear for some friends again. And that's where I'll learn how to conquer the aluminum. So I'm sure that on the Miller, some of the settings are for doing aluminum or for doing stainless, or maybe even titanium. So, which I don't know, I'm a novice, everybody. You might be, if you're a professional welder, you might be joking, going, well, you're not going to TIG weld titanium. Or are you? See, I don't know, guys. Plus, titanium, I don't mess with titanium. I don't need to. So, that's this short little video, everybody. I just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed because I've gotten a lot of people asking, how do you like your Eastwood? Now, one thing I will tell you, I don't know when it was, but when I first looked at the reviews on this, it was, and you got to understand who writes reviews, okay? And I'm not going to digress into the DNA of why people write reviews, okay? But most people that write reviews, most are angry. They're wanting to get out, rant, and complain about why something didn't work. The people that say it's awesome are people that's normally bought other products from that company. They bought another product and they're like, oh yeah, I like this one too. I need to tell the world, okay? Or they were on there reading the reviews and saw some bad reviews and said, well, that's rubbish, garbage, you know, bollocks, as my over the pond friends say. But the thing is that the first year this was out, there were a lot of them that didn't work out. I shouldn't say there's a lot. There were some complaints. I'm sorry. There were some reviews that said it didn't work out of the box, or it worked for like a day and then it didn't quit work. Then it quit working. But in the last year and a half, 2 years, I didn't find any reviews that were negative. I found quite a few that were positive. But keep in mind, most people that have something work don't complain. So am I going to write a review on this? No. I've got other things to do in my life. It works perfect for me though. So, and it comes with a 3-year warranty. And they do keep some parts here in America when I did some researching. They do, though, tell you if you need to send this back in, you got to send it in and wait for it. They're not going to send you a replacement until they receive this back if they're replacing it. So you can't have like a backup or a standby welder while they're fixing your welder. But so far, knock on wood again, this thing's been rock solid. And I love it. And I tell you, it's super rewarding to learn how to TIG weld. When you get everything, now there is one thing about TIG welding that's totally different, well, at least for me. When I would stick weld, I literally could take 2 rusty pieces of metal, stick them together, and weld them together pretty good. And I know that probably wasn't the best way to do it, okay? But with MIG welding, you really want to prep your steel. You want to sand it or polish it, get all your dirt, oil, impurities off of it. You want to make sure your tungsten is good and sharp and clean. And I've ordered a little grinder thing. When I get that, I'll talk about grinding my tungstens. Right now, I'm using some different grinding stuff in the room. But a friend of mine said, look, you can use your grinders and you can do the way you want, but having the little grinder with the diamond and whatever in it, it just makes life easier. And why not spend 99 bucks to make your welding that much easier? But I just wanted to do a video on my experience with this to date. And so far, it's been really, really super good. And I tell you, it's super rewarding when you start to do a weld and you come around and get done, and then you look at it and you're like, whoa, that's starting to look prettier. So everybody have an awesome day. I'm going to try to do a couple more videos today. I was trying to do them yesterday, but I got so much done on this airframe yesterday. Yeah, it was just spectacular. And today, I'm going to try, I got some family things to do today, but I am going to try to get a lot more done on this airframe today. And that's it, everybody. So thanks for watching the video. This is 100% about this welder. I give it a thumbs up right now. And I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to cover on this. And yeah, I think that's it. So everybody have an awesome day, and rock on. Take care, everybody.